welcome back to my channel. Make sure you guys are like, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And I'm not even gonna hold you guys. We're gonna jump right into this story time. You could tell from by the title, this story time is about the neighbor I had from hell, y'all. So guys, I started dating this girl, and me and her hit it off well, and everything was cool or whatever. And she had introduced me into her mother, and her mother didn't like me, y'all. So and the reason why she didn't like me is because she didn't want her daughter to be gay. But it was crazy that she didn't like me because of that, because she was gay as well. But she was gay like a couple years before I met her, and when I met her, she was changing her life over, dealing with a guy. But you had done bled on your daughter. Your daughter's a full-blown stud. So me and her daughter started dating or whatever, y'all. And everything was what it was. And her mama didn't like me, so her mom ended up putting her out the house. So when her mama put her out the house, y'all, she ended up moving in with the next door neighbor. So y'all gotta follow me with this when I tell y'all this story. She moved in with the next door neighbor. And I didn't know that the next door neighbor was one of her mom's ex-girlfriends. So when she moved in with this girl, she told me that, you know, she's an older woman. She didn't like women. She had a young girl, a young daughter, and she was just doing her a favor, basically. But she didn't tell me that this was the mama's ex-girlfriend. She told me that the lady wasn't gay. So I was cool with it or whatever. So one day, me and her was on the phone one day, y'all, and the lady was in the background, and she was like, "Oh, who was you on the phone with? Why you on, who the fuck you on the phone with?" Like, checking her like that. So I was like, "Who the hell is that?" And she was like, "Oh, that's the lady that I stay with." Now we're gonna get a lady name, we're gonna give her the name Scandalous, because that's what it was. That's what she was giving. So she was staying with Scandalous. Now my ex-girlfriend, we're gonna give her the name Red. So Red was staying with Scandalous, and she hadn't said that slick shit on the phone. So I was like, that was weird or whatever. And she was like, "No, she just doing me a favor. It's nothing like that. The lady ain't even gay." So I was like, all right, cool. I was like, well, I want to meet this lady. So she invited me over like a couple days later. So we in there, the lady's cooking. She was cool when I first walked in. She was straight. So I didn't think nothing of it, because you know how people like to play. So she came in the living room where we was at. We was playing cards, and Red was like, "Scandalous, I want you to meet my girlfriend. This is Shay." So she was like, "Your girlfriend?" She was like, "You ain't tell me you had no girlfriend." And I'm looking crazy like, "What you mean?" And she was like, "Man, stop playing like that, man. Stop playing." Like, you know, try to play it off. But I was looking at her to catch her mannerisms, and she looked real confused. So I'm like, okay, maybe this lady just playing, or maybe she's just like weird as shit. I don't know. Maybe I don't get her personality. So the girl was like, Red was like, "Babe, come on, let's go in the room." And the lady was looking all crazy and shit, and I was like, "Girl, like, what the fuck going on here?" And she was like, "No, let's go in the room, man. Let me talk to you in the room." So she was like, "We straight to go in the room?" And the lady, Scandalous, was like, "Yeah, go ahead in the room. Y'all straight or whatever," with an attitude. So y'all, we go in the room or whatever. So I'm pressing her about it. I'm like, "What's up with this lady? Like, why she tripping? Like, what's up? It seems like she like you or something. Like, what's going on?" And she was like, "I swear to God, it ain't nothing. She just like one of my mama friends, and she just play like that or whatever." And I just kept pressing her because I felt uncomfortable. Like, "Girl, what you mean?" So, long story short, we ended up talking it out, and she reassured me that it wasn't nothing. So we ended up, and just for YouTube, y'all, we gonna call Doing the Do Candyland, okay? Because I don't want to get flagged for inappropriate language. So when I mean doing the do, when I say Candyland, I mean doing the do. So y'all, after she reassured me that it was basically nothing, me and her, she took me to Candyland. So I'm in Candyland with her, y'all. I'm in Candyland with her, y'all, for about 10 minutes. So next thing you know, I hear the door open. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I open my eyes and I'm looking up, me and Scandalous like locked eyes, and it was like a stare down. Like she was staring me in my eyes, and I was staring her in her eyes, and she was just like, it was just weird for like about 5 seconds, y'all. So after that, she closed the door. So about after 5 seconds, she closed the door. So we still in Candyland, we still in Candyland, cause I'm not finna stop. She ain't say nothing, I ain't say nothing, shit. And besides, after she had to act weird, I wanted her to see that. You know, oops. But anyways, yeah, so we in Candyland. So after we come back from Candyland, y'all, tell me why I tell Red, I'm like, yo, while we was in Candyland, girl had walked in the door and like stared me down, and it was like a weird stare, but I wasn't finna stop you because she ain't say nothing. And she was like, for real? And I was like, yeah. So she was just like, oh, that's weird. She was like, you know what? This is starting to be a little weird to me. I'm going to try to find me somewhere else to go. So she ended up finding her somewhere else to go. But mind you, she stayed with the lady for like 2 weeks, right? So we ended up, she ended up moving out. And then we ended up moving together, and we ended up being in a relationship. We ended up being in a relationship for 5 years. So after me and her dated, because we broke up, our relationship was so toxic, and our breakup, we went through a badass breakup, like a badass breakup. But we did date for 5 years or whatever. So anyways, long story short, we ended up breaking up, and I ended up dating guys. I had got a boyfriend, and I had wanted to start a whole new leaf. I was just like, you know what, this shit ain't for me. I just want to try men. I was thinking about like getting me a new apartment, just kind of relocating, just starting my life over, because like me and her dated for 5 years, and it was a toxic ass relationship. Like we wouldn't leave each other alone. We used to fight all the time. She was cheating, I was cheating. It was just so toxic. But anyways, we ended up breaking up, y'all. So I caught myself like wanting to do something new. And like I said, I had a boyfriend, and my next step was getting a new apartment. So I go out looking for the apartment or whatever, and this is like 2 years after me and her broke up. You know, I'm trying to turn over a new leaf, and I go look for an apartment. I found the perfect apartment. The rent was cheap. The apartment looked it right in the ad. So I go in and do the do the application for the apartment. So I'm in there doing the apartment. The lady was so nice, but it looked like I knew her. She seemed so familiar to me, y'all. I was like, I just couldn't put my finger on how I knew her. It was like, she's gonna help me get the apartment, y'all. Because I hadn't said and told her, I was like, I really need this apartment. I was like, how urgent can you get me this apartment? And she was like, why you so in a rush to get an apartment? And I was like, because, you know, I just came from like a bad relationship, and I just wanted a new start for me and my daughter and stuff like that. And so she was just like, she was like, you know what, you seem cool. And she was like, I know you from somewhere. She was like, I'm gonna help you out, I'm gonna get you in this place. And I was like, all right, cool. Because she worked, you know, she worked there, you know. So she was like, yeah, I'm gonna get you in this place. So I was like, okay, cool. So she ended up getting me the place, y'all. And mind you, she didn't tell me where I knew her from. I didn't remember where I knew her from, but I knew her from somewhere. So I ended up getting the place. I moved in. Me and my daughter, we happy as hell. We decorating. We doing everything we got to do. So, or whatever. And I brought my dude over, showed him my place and everything. Everything was cool. So, like a week later, I went outside to check the mail. So, I go and check the mail, and she comes out the door that's next door. So I'm like, wait a minute, you live next door to me? You live out here? And she was like, yeah, I'm real cool with the owner. And she was like, I purposely put you next to me because I think we're gonna be cool. I think you're gonna be one of my new friends. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I thought it was cool at first, you know, like, okay, cool. You know, I was kind of like a loner, so she was my next door neighbor, and I thought it was kind of cool. I didn't think nothing of it. So one day she came over, and she was just like, can I come over and chill with you? She was like, I'm bored, my dude at work or whatever. And she smoked cigarettes and she drank, and I smoked. So I'm like, and I drank. So I'm like, yeah, come on. So she come over, y'all, and we sitting there chilling. I'm like, can I get you something to drink? And she was like, yes. So I made her a little cocktail or whatever. We chilling and everything. So she was like, you know what? I remember where I know you from. And I was like, where you know me from? I was like, yeah, because I can't put my finger on where I know you from. And she was like, did you date a girl named Red? And I was like, yeah, I did date a girl named Red. And she was like, you remember when her mom put her out and she needed somewhere to stay and she stayed with me? And I was like, oh shit, yeah, I do remember you. Oh my God, how you doing? And she was like, I've been good. She was like, I knew that was you. She was like, you know, I gotta help my black girls out and get these apartments out here because they be tripping. I was like, thank you so much for helping me get the place. And she was like, yeah. She was like, yeah, I know you. She was like, you still talk to that girl, Red? And I was like, no, I don't fuck with Red. I was like, me and Red had a bad breakup. And I told her everything that went on. She was like, yeah. She was like, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy, girl. She was like, yeah, Red wasn't no good. She was hoish. So I was like, yeah. I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to hit her up because you made me think about her. So, y'all, she left or whatever. And I ended up hitting Red up on Facebook. So when I hit Red up on Facebook, she was like, hey, how you doing? She was like, it's so funny that you hit me up. You know, she was like, I was just thinking about you. And me and her had the worst breakup, y'all. The worst breakup. But I guess I caught her at a good time because when I hit her up, she was just breaking up with her girlfriend. The girl that she cheated on me with. Whatever. But anyway, she was just breaking up with her, whatever. So, she was like, what's up? So I was like, yeah. So the vibe was so good. I was like, you know what? Come through, come to my house. I got my own spot. We could chill and just catch up. Because me and her had to talk about a lot of stuff before we came back. Cool. So, after that, she came to my house and we met up. And everything was everything. Like, we had a good time. We apologized. We talked about everything. We became real good friends. Like, real friends. We wasn't trying to fuck around. I didn't see her like that. She didn't see me like that. So, I get ready to walk her out one night. And Scandalous is sitting on the porch. And she was like, hey, Red. And Red was like, oh, hey. She was dry because she ain't really, like, too much mess with the girl. Well, she act like that around me. So she was like, hey. So I took her home or whatever. So I get back, go to sleep, wake up next morning. I get a knock at the door. She knocks. It's Scandalous. So I'm like, hey girl, what's up? She was like, real like weird. Like, I don't know. Her energy was not giving what it normally gives. So she was like, can I come in for a second? I need to talk to you about something. I was like, yeah. And she was like, so did you talk to Red about anything that me and you talked about? And I was like, nah. And I was like, well, nah, why? And she was like, nah, because I got something to tell you. She was like, I've been wanting to tell you since I saw you, and I just wanted to know did you know? And I was like, what, girl, what? Now, mind y'all, me and this girl had been broke up for a good 4 years. So it was no feelings there, no nothing. So she was like, yeah, I just wanted to tell you that, you know, when she was living with me, she was taking me to Candyland. I said, girl, what? She was like, yes, that's why I was so shocked at who you was and who she talking about she got a girlfriend and stuff, because she was sure taking me to Candyland. So I'm like, what? Even though this was like 4 years ago, it was like, it threw me off because like me and her used to argue about it a lot because I felt that way. And she used to make me feel like I was going fucking crazy. Hey y'all, I'm back. I had to switch the scenery because it was getting a little dark over there and the seat was wet. I think it rained last night, so the couches are wet over there. But anyway, so yeah, y'all. So she told me, she was like, yeah, you know, she was taking me to Candyland or whatever. And I was like, she was taking you to Candyland. I said, you know, I felt like that. So instantly while I'm sitting on my couch, she telling me that, I just started feeling real weird. I'm like, wait a minute. So she got me into this place. She moved me next door to her. And the whole time she knew she was dealing with my ex. And it just seemed weird to me. Like, what this whole on? So she was like, yeah, she was taking me to Candyland. And that's why I was so shocked at how she was calling me her girlfriend and everything. Because every night she was taking me to Candyland the whole time she was staying there. And I was like, wow. I was like, well, I'm a show ask her about this. But I was like, it's not even that deep to me no more because me and her don't fuck around like that, you know? So anyways, I ended up hanging out with Red again. And I asked her, and I was like, why you ain't tell me about girl? I used to mess with girl. She was like, I ain't never messed with that girl. That girl tripping. I never touched her. I don't know what's wrong with her. She crazy or whatever. So I continued to hang out with Red. Red would come to my house every other day. We was chilling harder than a bitch. We smoked, chill, watch TV, play cards, you know, have company over. She be talking about her girlfriend. I be talking about my boyfriend. We was real cool. So y'all, it was like scandalous, saw that shit, and it was like, you know, she stayed next door to me. So every time Red will be over there, she of course see her come out the door and stuff like that. So it was like she started speaking to me, y'all, and it was weird because I was like, yo, this lady on one. So she started speaking to me. So it was fine with me. So being that she was the help at the office, we had these little laundry cars where we had to load the money up on it to wash our clothes. So every Friday I go to the office to load my money on my car so I could wash my clothes for the week. Every Friday I never had a problem. After the situation, it was, oh, I can't feel it right now. I can't load it, the machine down, the machine down, the machine down, the machine down. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I had to end up taking my clothes to the laundromat. Cool. No, it wasn't cool. It was something extra for me to do when we had an on-site laundromat. So that was strike number one. Strike number two, she started telling the landlord that I had several men coming in and out the house. It was not several men coming in and out my house, y'all. I had one boyfriend and he barely came to my house. Okay? Because I used to be at his, or we be in a motel somewhere, or we be out, period. He wouldn't come to my house because I didn't play that shit around my daughter. So she goes and tells the landlord that I have several men coming out my house. She not loading my washing machine. I'm loading the car, y'all. She just straight giving me hell. Okay. So it was a time where something went wrong. It was something went wrong in my apartment, y'all. And I had to call her because she's the help. And I had to call her to call maintenance for me. And every time, y'all, it never fails. Every time I called for her for maintenance, they would take like 2 weeks to come to my house. And it was one time that I got so mad. I think my AC went out or something happened. And they was taking so long to come to my house that I had went over her and went to the owner. I seen the owner outside one day and I said, listen, I'm having an issue with getting maintenance to come fix this problem at my house. And he was like, what problem? And I showed him. That man had them people in there the next day to fix my stuff. So the problem was her. So I came to him, the owner, after they fixed my stuff. I sat down with the owner. I was like, listen, I don't know what's up with your assistant or whatever, but I don't think she likes me and she's doing the most and I don't think I want to live here no more. He was like, no, I'm gonna have a conversation with her, don't worry about it. He was like, she does complain about you a lot. And he was like, it's an easy fix. I'm gonna fix it for you. And I was like, okay, cool. So y'all, I went back to my regular life because I used to work a lot. I was never home. I was home like here and there. And you know, the clubs got slow, y'all. So one day my lights went off. So my lights go out. I pack up my daughter bag. I get me a little clothes, and we go to my mama's house just for weeks until I can make the money to turn my lights back on. Y'all, I'm at work. It's about, I want to say 8 o'clock at night. I get a phone call. It's the police. The police is like, oh, Shay, you have to come back to the house. Somebody called and said there's a dead body in your house. There's flies flying around the window. The neighbors are concerned. You need to come back to the house. Y'all, I'm frantic. I done got back dressed. I get to my car. By the time I get to my car, y'all, DCF calling me. DCF, and I never had DCF in my life. Never want them in my life and never had them in my life until now, till then. So DCF called me and they like, yes ma'am, we need you to get to the apartment now. We're gonna do an investigation. They're telling us that your daughter's dead inside of the house. There's flies in the window or whatever. And I was like, no ma'am, it's no dead body in my house. What is you saying? I was like, man, my lights are off and the garbage is there, and that's probably what's going on. Like, you know, my lights had been off for like 4 days. So she was like, oh, I see. She was like, well, can you meet me here early in the morning? And I was like, yeah, I'll meet you there early in the morning. So I met up with her 8 o'clock early in the morning, y'all. I had to went and got that money to turn my lights back on, put the money on my lights, got to the apartment way before her, cleaned it up, showed her where the trash hadn't accumulated. I had left the trash full and it accumulated flies and maggots and shit around the damn trash and shit. So that's why it was flies and shit in the window. So I had showed her what was going on. I showed her. I had to went to the store by the time she had a game, y'all. I had to put up my refrigerator because I don't play them DCF games. And I had told her, listen, I had came into hard times. My daughter was at my mom's house and I was at my mom's house. I just told her to run down and she went for it because she knew it was true. You know, I never had no calls. They interviewed my daughter. They looked at her, made sure she had no marks or nothing on her, and everything was fine. So she dismissed the case. But when she dismissed the case, y'all, I was livid. Like, I could not get this out of my mind that this lady called DCF and the police on me about a patch of hair. About a patch of hair, y'all. So I was so mad about it. I was up to the office about it. I hadn't said something to her about it. Me and her had a little yelling match about it because I was in her ass about it because I don't play them type of games about my child. And ultimately, y'all, I ended up moving out because I couldn't deal with her. She was like terrorizing me like on the low. But before I moved out, after that situation, she did write me a letter and did bring me a candle and was like she was so sorry for like all like that situation. She didn't know what got into her. She thought something was dead in there and she just kept sticking to that story. Girl, you ain't think nothing was dead in there, girl. You was waiting for any little thing to bring me down because you was mad that you liked this girl. You probably got a little throat from her a couple times, but you wanted a relationship from her and she didn't see that in you. She saw it in me. So she dated me for 5 years and you was mad at that. So when you seen me and the girl vibing back again, you got jealous and you wanted to cause hell in my life. And that wasn't finna go down. So I ended up moving out, y'all, because I felt like if I would have lived there any longer, I felt like I would have did something to her. Like, I'm not one to back into a corner of bully. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna get you first if I feel like you even thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up moving out, y'all. But that was my story, y'all. That lady was crazy about a patch of hair. And then, y'all, later on down the line, I found out that her mom used to date her. So y'all both eating up on the same candy. I just didn't get it. It just threw me all the way off. But that was my story, guys. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe. And you already know I'll be back with another what? Freaking video. Peace.